Hi, welcome to Triggered Care. I'm Alex. Today I'm going to be talking about my own relationship with TV shows and media like that. So let's get into it. Most people like watching TV. I think a lot of people have favorite TV shows and they like watching it. I really like TV. That's not like even a proud thing. I don't like study who's on the show. I don't try to look up cast members and all of that. I don't obsess over TV that way. What I mean is I will watch the same show repetitively sometimes, or I'll watch a genre of show obsessively. And I used to be a lot worse about this. But it started out when I was a kid, when I really started to develop a dependency on television to help me out and to process feelings. And I really use it as a tool, almost in a way, to have feelings when otherwise I wasn't supposed to have feelings. When I was a kid, we watched TV a lot. That was probably the go-to pastime in my childhood. And we had 4 channels. We didn't have satellite, we didn't have cable. We had the basic 4 channels that bunny ears got back then, which if you're too young, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Bunny ears were what you called the antenna on top of the TV before everything went digital a number of years back. And we always watched the show Friends throughout my early childhood because, I'm a 90s babe. And I love that show. I loved it. We watched it every Thursday with every new episode that came out of it. And it would make me laugh the hardest. Like watching that show, some of my best memories from early childhood was watching that show with my family and being able to laugh and just the goofy hijinks that those people would get in and all of that. And I would dream about the Friends people sometimes. I remember one time I dreamt that Joey and Chandler were my new dads, that they were the ones who were going to take care of me and they loved me, and it made me feel really good. And then I discovered Lord of the Rings right before I hit puberty. I discovered Lord of the Rings, which was pretty good timing. Those movies are my all-time favorite. And I watched them religiously, and I was homeschooled for a time through middle school, so I would just watch Lord of the Rings over and over and over again. I loved Aragorn. I fell in love with the character Aragorn, and it was the same sort of fantasies that got me through, of like, imagine if he was your dad. Imagine if he loved you and protected you and all that stuff. Like, these TV shows and movies gave me role models in a way where I looked up to them, I wanted to be like them, and I identified with them in a way that seemed impossible to identify with in my own house. So, but then once I got into high school, so middle school, all I did was watch Lord of the Rings. And then once I got into high school, I actually stopped watching television in general. I saw movies every so often, but I was working, I was going to school, I had extracurricular activities. I kept really busy in high school, which didn't leave me a lot of time for watching TV and all that stuff. And then I got to college, and I watched a little bit more TV than I did in high school, but not very often, and it was mostly with friends. Like me and my friends, we watched the show Outsourced. And then on my own time, sometimes I would watch the show A Thousand Ways to Die, which, I probably shouldn't have watched that show because it made me way more paranoid wherever I went, but I just love the storytelling of it. I loved how they made it. Um, yeah, and then my second year of college, I started getting stressed out. And I had been seeing a therapist because I had a miscarriage my first year of college. And so I started seeing a therapist. He warned me that I was going to burn out because I was working, I was going to college, I was trying to take care of family stuff too. And he told me that I was going to burn out. And I went, well, there's nothing I can do. I have to keep doing all these things. But he called it. He called it out. I did burn out. And I dropped out of school. I quit my job. I became a live-in nanny for a while. And then after I was a live-in nanny, I moved in with my boyfriend, who's now my husband. And when that happened, my grandmother passed away. And she was my closest family member that I was, like, I loved her. I loved her a whole lot. She was very sweet to me, very nice to me, one of my childhood heroes. And so after she passed away, I got married. And then we had a miscarriage. Me and my husband, we had a miscarriage. And my brain broke. My brain did not work anymore for a while after suffering the loss of my grandmother and then the loss of my baby. I could not do anything. TV became my life, and I binge watched for a long time. I wasn't seeing a therapist. I wasn't seeing any doctors for my mental disorder. I still was undiagnosed at this point, so I didn't really know what was going on at all. I watched TV and gamed for a year straight, and that's all I did. I felt absolutely awful. When I wasn't distracted by some sort of media, I struggled with self-harm quite a bit in that year. I was very disassociated. I was very not connected to life. It was almost like I was very disassociated for a long time. And the only thing that would keep me calm and not attacking myself was watching TV or being engulfed in a video game. There was no grounding to be had. And I've struggled with self-harm a bit, but then by the end of that year, I kind of gotten a handle on it. And then the TV shows kind of helped me process through a lot of rough feelings that I was going through. Helped me relate to people because I was relating to the characters. And I think that more have helped me export my emotions in a way, help me process emotions, where if a character was going through a sad time, I could cry with them and get some of that good sort of cry out, the cathartic sort of healthy cry. And then finally, after about a year and a half of being useless, honestly, I was useless. All I did was watch TV and sit in the same spot. I finally went to go see a therapist because I knew that I was getting to the point where I was gonna kill myself if something didn't change, because I felt useless and I watched TV. That's all I could do was watch TV. And when that's all you can do, you do not feel good about yourself. And so finally I went to go see a therapist, and my therapist is the most awesome therapist in the world. So with her help, I was able to cut back on my TV watch time and, start doing research into stuff and start learning about stuff and really delve into recovery a bit. But I still use TV to process feelings. I still use TV shows and all of that to understand myself better in a way, and to try to understand other people better. One of the most crazy TV shows that I just fell in love with was after I started therapy, The Sopranos, because of Tony Soprano's struggle with his mother. Watching that honestly changed my life in a weird way. I honestly fell in love with the characters, and when it ended, I genuinely mourned the loss of that show. But the whole reason why I got to thinking about this in the first place was, as you know from my last update, I was depressed. I was pretty badly depressed for 2 weeks. And I was trying to use media as a tool during this time because my brain went to the same place of I can't handle anything except for TV. And so I tried watching comedies for like the first week and a half. I tried to watch funny shows to make myself laugh, to encourage me to smile more. But it wasn't working. I wasn't laughing. And it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying it. Like, I could pay attention to the plot, and it was interesting enough for that. But I wasn't connecting to it. And so after I tried that for a while and it wasn't working, I switched to a drama. I switched to one of my dramatic shows that I watch that makes you cry, and I transferred my anger and my sadness onto the show. For about 4 days, I binge watched the show, and to put it plainly, I crap talked the poop out of one of the characters. I chose a character to scapegoat, and then I just allowed myself to complain. I allowed myself to be angry at the show. I allowed myself to be sad at the show. There was a lot of crying. There were some angry outbursts even that surprised me that I was that intensely paying attention to the show, and I felt that strongly about it. But talking to my therapist about it afterwards, she's like, well, it's probably triggering situations and events from your own life, and then you are reacting how you would in those situations, in those events, just at the show. And it helped. It helped a lot, because after 4 days of doing that, it was like I woke up and I'm like, whoa, I want to do stuff now. I want to get back to being productive. I want to do this, and that. I'm going to make my to-do list. I'm going to get on the ball a little bit. And so that was really interesting. And I don't know if my depression would have gone on longer than 2 weeks if I hadn't done that exercise or that transference thing. I know screen time is really discouraged upon, and people, they're always saying that we need to spend less time on our phones and more time in the real world and all of that. I have found such comfort and therapeutic process in watching shows. And I think part of it is I do like to escape. I do like to escape reality a lot. It's a very old habit of mine of escaping your reality, because oftentimes the reality was too much to handle. And now it's not that it's too much to handle, it's that the memories of that time is too much to handle. So, I just try to keep chugging along and everybody does what they need to get by. And as long as what you're doing isn't hurting yourself or hurting another person, it's pretty good by me. I mean, if your thing is yoga or meditation or reading or whatever it is that you really depend on during your hard times, if it's not hurting anybody, then go for it. If it's not actively, going against somebody's person, if it's not hurting you and it's not hurting anybody else, I think that's fine. That's a great way to go about it. So I just wanted to talk about that. All the links for all my cool stuff is down below. There is Discord. There is my email in case you got a long story that you want to send me and don't have Discord. There's the Facebook page where pretty much I only update that when I release a new video. So you're not missing out too much if you don't go on there, but it's there. So, yep, that should be it, I think. I hope all y'all have a good one.